What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 23 of Procedurally Generated. It is September 5th, 2021. My name's Chris Weber. I'm here with John Carson.
Hello. Hey, Chris.
Hi,
it's
John.
been a week?
Yeah.
It's been a week.
It feels like longer. It's been a crazy week. If I were to summarize the things between last week's episode and this week's episode, I feel like I could say a lot of things.
Do you remember talking about Grand Theft Auto last week?
I do. Man, that was good
what
times.
An episode. What a great episode. And this week we finally can talk about that game that you've been wanting to talk about.
Yeah, right? That tease that we laid out and
we definitely followed through on this week.
100%.
One week later.
No, this is great. If you guys are catching up on the show, you may not realize that we're goofing. It's been 5 months since our last episode.
Whoops.
Yeah, we had we initially planned a little break. We had some internet problems and things like that.
That's right. That was the
main. Yeah, that was the main thing. Is I kept dropping my internet, which we have fixed. I haven't had an issue with my internet ever since. So
that's congrats.
Thank you. But we replaced internet issues with rapid fire life changes left and right.
Uh-huh.
John, you changed careers.
I changed careers in that time.
Significantly. What are you doing now?
Yeah, so I was doing AV work and like fixing conference rooms and installing monitors and all of that stuff. I'm one of the associate editors at Game Informer now. So
Woo!
Yeah. So huge change.
Yes.
And I've been getting used to that whole lifestyle and like being a full-time writer and thinking and playing games for my livelihood. And that's part of the reason why this last week has been so long.
Yes.
I started there in June. It was the week before E3. So it was learning the ropes and then going directly into the biggest show of the year. And now it's just been still just grinding every day, getting articles out. Right now I'm learning some cover story stuff. So I'll be helping out with some stuff in an upcoming issue of the magazine. And lots of big changes. And luckily, that means that I actually have to complete games now instead of just playing them for a little bit and then dropping them. So
there you go.
You'll hear more of my complete thoughts on games, which is nice.
Yeah, and just to make sure that everybody realizes, this was John's dream job. This is a job that he has wanted forever. So for him to have finally reached that goal and has become an editor for GI, we are over the moon. We are excited. Obviously, he's excited to have landed that job, but just seeing how much he's wanted that for such a long time, it was it's like a proud papa moment. So if you are in the Discord, if you're on the Twitter, send some congrats John's way. It's very exciting.
Thank you.
So yeah, so that's John's big change. My big change has just been a cavalcade of curveballs and things to adjust to. But I
would say it's like nothing new from what you've been dealing with in the last year.
True. Yeah, it's just it's very up and down still trying to figure things out. The biggest change for me has been still streaming full time on Twitch, which that's not the change. The change. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. But the biggest change, I guess, specific to my content is that I've taken a different approach with games. Trust me, if I could, I would still stream 8 hours a day of video games because that's ideal for me. But we decided to do some stuff to try to make a career change, and I'm focusing on programming currently. So I'm learning HTML. I'm almost done with HTML. I started with JavaScript. That was too hard for me. So we had to back up, pump the brakes, build some foundation, and go backwards to HTML and CSS, and then we'll try JavaScript again. But I'm learning that on Twitch. I have met some amazing people, incredibly helpful, supportive, intelligent, and they're just making this transition as simple as it can be. It's very hard. It's definitely a significant change from anything I've ever done before, but I have the right approach and mindset, I think, in mind,
Hmm.
and the right expectations. Um, it doesn't stop the curveballs coming in from other aspects of my professional life, but the focus remains the same. Is that I'm gonna keep pushing on. So if you guys are programmers in the community, and that's something that you like, if you've been in the Discord, or if you haven't been in the Discord, you'll find things are a little bit different in there now. It is still definitely procedurally generated, still dedicated to the podcast, but it is also home to all of my streaming stuff. When John is able to figure out a schedule to a point where he
Uh-huh.
can stream, which he wants to do, but
Yeah.
obviously he's got a lot going on, it'll be home to John's streaming content as well. And then there's a big section dedicated now to programming, people helping each other, people offering up opinions and ideas on how people should handle any issues they have. They're showing what they're working on. We got people working on games. We got people working on different databases, backend stuff. It's a lot of fun. It's a good group of people that really have come from out of nowhere after I made this change, and I'm happy and excited to know every one of them. So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm happy so many people have kind of gravitated to your stream for the programming stuff. I think a lot of it is just it's cool to see somebody take a pretty hard right turn in their career path and want to learn something new.
mhm.
And from what I've seen, like the community's been super helpful for you, and I'm glad that those kind people have found you and you found them, and you guys are helping each other. I just
Yeah,
think that's really awesome.
yeah, for sure. It's. I know this probably isn't the case, but if this is how everybody is
Hmm.
in the programming industry, these people are awesome.
Yeah.
So, oh man, well, we got a couple updates for you. I know, surprising. It's only been a week. What
It's
kind
only
of
been a
updates
week,
could we
7 days.
possibly have? We are going to be having a new website soon. It's not quite ready yet, and I hesitate to say when it'll be ready because there's a lot of things that can happen.
It's coming along.
It's coming along. It looks amazing.
Yes.
Right now, we have somebody near and dear to us working on it, which kind of walks right into our second little tease. Um, Tune in, especially for next week's show. There will be a very significant wrinkle to what we have going on here. But it's I'm not going to say what it is yet either, because I like to tease things out, and
And for some reason, it might not happen. We don't
yeah,
know. So,
it'll happen when it happens,
yeah,
that kind of thing. So we're
as early as next week, though, is what we're expecting.
yeah, right. So and that just kind of, again, then curtails into another point where you guys might be seeing some changes, maybe more on the back end side of things, maybe some Patreon changes, some things like that. So bear with us, be flexible. We the main thing that you guys want, the podcast and things like that stuff should remain the same. If anything, what we're trying to do is build out the content surrounding it a little bit, and give ourselves a chance to do the best work that we can.
Well, yeah,
So
and we're also trying to realize what we wanted to do in the first place, which
yeah,
is giving a spot for the additional content that isn't what we've realized is like on the Discord, it gets a little bit messy, especially when there's 23 episodes to deal with
yeah,
and multiple channels for each episode. So we're trying to get a better home for all of that content. So,
yeah,
yep,
exactly. The
just going to
additional
take a little
content,
bit of time.
yeah, the additional content is definitely something that I'm proud of, and I like, and I want you guys to have access to, because we do find a lot of cool stuff. But the Discord, while it was sufficient for a while, but the time has come to kind of move that into something else. So especially with the influx of people that actually have never listened to the show before too. So hopefully
Mhm.
there's also new listeners that are coming in. But um, it's I just think visibility wise, it'll look a lot better on a website, especially a website that is being designed by somebody who has a very good idea of how we want this to look. So
i.e., not us.
Yeah. Now that being said, I am trying to build a website from scratch using what I've
Yes.
learned in programming, and I compared. We had a meeting a couple days ago. Compared what I have done so far to what our the person working on the podcast has been working on, and it's like, oh, we can't possibly make mine the one. We can't
Chris,
do
you're
that.
doing great. You're learning a lot.
But
The
it
way
shows.
our designer put it was, you're doing all of the hard work right now that you need to do to then start using the easy stuff,
Right.
the
Yeah.
easy tools that they're using. So, I'm excited to see your part of the website get built up, and I believe you're gonna have that on the sites that people can see.
Yeah.
Correct?
So it'll
Okay,
be like,
or on some website, whether it's your own or the PG show site.
it'll be available for people to check up on. We'll have our main podcast website. I'll have the website dedicated to my stream. I think from both areas there will be a link to let you check out the progress of my website, which again, it's basic HTML right now because that's all I know. So when we get to CSS, we'll work on adding things like that. When we get to JavaScript, I'll find things to incorporate into it. I want it to be the project I kind of take along with me when the time comes to start interviewing for jobs and things like that. So super fun, but also definitely not a showstopper by any means yet. So
We'll get there.
let's see. I don't have. I mean, I could list all of the games that I've been playing for this last week, which is a shocking amount when you really do.
I was just about to say what have you been playing in the last week? Which, if we're going to keep this bit going, that's quite a few.
Let's see. Yeah,
but I guess, what have you been playing in the last 7 hours? Like, what's the equivalent amount of time here?
Right. So streaming wise, I mean, some big games that we finished recently are, let's see. I mean, the big games that have finished on stream are Returnal, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. We went back and played the original Halo. We finished Demon's Souls on PS5. We did the original Gears of War. We finished Iconoclasts. Death's Door. Oh my god, that game's awesome.
That's a great game.
Yes, that is game. A very, very good game. We played a game called Arafel all the way through to completion. We did the Final Fantasy Pixel remaster for the first Final Fantasy. Finally played the Call of Duty Cold War single player. It wasn't that good. Played a game called Evil Land, which is about the neatest concept idea application for a game that I've seen.
Is that the one where it keeps evolving the RPG? Yeah,
it's basically a walkthrough RPG history. The game literally starts with a Game Boy tinted screen where your direction is move left to get a treasure chest, and you unlock the ability then to move right, and then you unlock the rest of the screen. It's so neat and evolves all the way up to like 3D graphics and high res textures, and it's really neat.
That's awesome.
We played a horror game collection called Dread X. We actually then finished up the Final Fantasy II Pixel remaster and just recently wrapped up Ghost of Tsushima Iki Island. There were a couple games that we abandoned in there. I started a playthrough of Dragon Quest XI, which I really, really like, but not enough time has passed since the last time I played that game.
You made it pretty far in there, though.
I did, yeah. It's an amazing game. You should definitely play it. I actually abandoned a game we covered for the podcast, Super Daryl Deluxe.
Oh, yeah.
In the research, I was super Daryl Deluxe impressed by this game. The art I thought was super wonky and off the wall, but as I played it more, I came to realize, like, boy, the gameplay is not carrying this thing very far. It is very, very standard fare. It's basically a beat 'em up. It's got a couple RPG elements and things like that, but it wore its welcome out on me pretty quick. We played some Eldest Souls, which is I'm dead serious when I say it is the hardest game I've ever played. So I was like,
we were hearing stories from my coworker Marcus while he was reviewing that. He's like, I got stuck on like the second boss for a while.
Oh yeah. I had like 300 deaths by the time I finally beat the third boss. Like,
he really liked it, but it sounded like it was just so hard.
Yeah, if I didn't know that I had a breaking point on difficulty in games until I played Eldest Souls, and I'm like, we're not having fun anymore. So if you want a super hard challenge, I would recommend a game called Eldest Souls. we did some lawn mowing simulator on stream. That was a lot of
Mhm.
fun. That was a really good. That game's
You're gonna do
super
that in
relaxing.
real life later.
I am gonna do. I tried to do it this morning and it was too wet and I was bumming. I tried 12 minutes on stream. Did not care for 12 minutes. It's basically a point and click adventure game, which I didn't realize that's what it was. I thought it was. I thought the gameplay mechanics were a little bit different than that. So that was
Sure.
my fault. Played some Undermine, a fun little dub car.
Yeah, little dub car.
Yeah, that was good. The loop got old a little quick, but I think that was maybe because of games like Hades and Children of Morta that do such a good
Mhm.
job of storytelling within that dub car loop.
Mhm.
We're just going to commit to dub car. It's been too
I
long. And then I officially abandoned Nier Automata. I was going for the C playthrough, and oh man, I had some stuff happen in the game twice that cost me an entire morning of progress.
Oh no.
And I was like, well, we're done here. That's enough. So, given my new schedule, we'll only have one game on the channel going forward, and that is going to be Persona 4.
Oh yeah, I mean that's all that you're gonna have on the channel.
Yeah, so it'll be. We're
That's
starting that tomorrow.
surprising with Tales of Arise coming out this week.
I know. I'm kind of mad at myself, but
from what I've heard, for the good.
Yeah.
People seem to like the Tales.
Well, worst case, it'll get added to the list. We'll play it eventually. Are these people that may or may not? Are they existing Tales fans, or are they new to the series and like, ooh?
Both?
Okay, is it both? Because Tales of Berseria, Tales of Zestiria, those games are pretty well liked among like the rest of the franchise entries. But I am leery because the thing that's always rubbed me the wrong way about the Tales series has been the combat. Now I played the demo. I didn't hate the combat, and I think the visual upgrades to the game are substantial enough to the point where, like, even if the combat is passable for me, those visuals are going to pull me through because that game looked gorgeous. It would have probably been a day one, but we got the channel rules to abide by, so it is what it is. We gotta roll with the punches.
True. Yeah, I played some of the demo. I only played it for a few minutes because it's one of those RPG demos where they give you everything
I hate
all
that so
at
much.
once, and it's like there's so much going on, and you're just blowing through combat. And I feel like I need that ramp up to learn all of the different mechanics and learn about the characters. And I dropped it after like 10 minutes. I'm like, I'll just wait until the full game's out. We'll deal with it then. But I mean, it looks great. Combat seems like it'll be up my alley, but we'll have to wait until later this week until.
Yeah. And I haven't played a Tales game really since I finished Ys 7.
Sure.
8.
8.
7? 8, yes.
8.
Whatever one that I finished. Which the combat started, and like being a game, I was like, oh, this is just like a Tales game. Like, I don't like this. But it grew on me to the point where I was like, okay, I'm getting into this. So maybe that's the game that I needed to turn the corner to maybe fall in love with some of these other action RPGs. So, but that is about... That's a real quick 5-minute recap of the last 1 week / 5 months. What are you? You've been a busy boy. What have you been doing?
I have. I have done reviews for Griftlands, which is a roguelite or dub card or a deck building card game that has world building and relationship management, like a kind of like a Mass Effect, kind of like a more simple Mass Effect. But that's a really neat game. And then I also reviewed Monster Hunter Stories 2, which is a Pokemon-like Monster Hunter game that I also quite liked. Let's see here.
The most endearing aspect of that game for me was the fact that it was turn-based.
Yes.
That felt way more Monster Hunter might work for me than the original Monster Hunter or the Monster Hunter world.
That's fair. And I feel like it's a good entry point for people to get, if they're interested in what Monster Hunter is putting down, but they like there's too much of a barrier to entry for the regular series. I feel like you can grasp a lot of the concepts that that the whole series is working with in Monster Hunter Stories, like whether it's targeting different parts of a monster or figuring out like their strengths and weaknesses to weapon types, or even just figuring out like crafting stuff for weapons or armor. It's all in there. It's all simplified. You could just use that as your ramp into everything else if you want to. Let's see here. Dodgeball Academia is really good. That's a fun sports RPG, kind of like a Mario Golf or Mario Tennis on Game Boy Advance, or if you've played something like Golf Story, which is a recent indie game, where they have like a pretty in-depth story mode wrapped around you actually like competing in this case in dodgeball, but you have different characters with different powers. It's more of a have you played Dodgeball Academia at all?
I haven't. I've played like Golf Story, so
Sure.
I have a good idea of what you're saying, but
Yeah.
I never
So
played.
all of your battles are dodgeball matches, and your goal, like everyone has HP, so it's not just like a one hit and you're out situation, but you're picking up balls, you're throwing them to the other side. You have a team of up to 3 characters that you can switch between, and everyone has like superpowers. It's kind of like everyone has like X-Men-ish abilities. Your main character has their super's like a Hadouken. They throw fiery dodgeballs. You have another character that just their whole gimmick is they knock the dodgeballs back at the other side with a baseball bat. So you just like you charge the baseball bat and you swing it and it hits it back. One guy like throws twirly balls that throw in like I guess like just circle patterns as they move across the court. So there's a bunch of strategy there. It's just a really fun, colorful game. Kind of looks like a Cartoon Network show. Really great art style. But I can't champion that game enough. It's really great. It's on Game Pass. So
That's actually really cool to hear, because I looked at some of the screenshots of it and stuff, and the visuals were a little. They actually turned me off of the game a little bit, but I don't know if it's actually anything to do with the visuals or just the idea that I couldn't figure out what this game was.
sure.
So that's a good helper for me to maybe give it a shot.
Yeah, I think that was the highest score I've given a game so far. So I was a 9. A 9 out of 10.
That's a big number.
I was on the higher end of that curve, and the developers seemed really happy about that. But I really like that game. And then what else? No More Heroes 3. That game is crazy. If you're into No More Heroes, that's a game that you'll probably like. If you haven't played No More Heroes before, don't play that one yet. Just start with the first one and work your way up. I was on the lower end of that one, but
okay.
It has a really bad open world. A lot of the world's ugly and it doesn't perform well on the Switch. So, but combat's really fun. There's a lot of just crazy action and a lot of references to different games or anime or Japanese movies. There's a lot of love that was put into that game, and I appreciate it a lot. But there's a lot of technical issues too that kind of marred the experience.
Okay.
And then recently, I've been diving back into Destiny 2. Put like 12 hours into it last weekend, and that's still Destiny. It's really good. A lot of people at GI are getting into Destiny 2 again, especially with the new expansion coming out in February, I think.
Yeah, I actually fired it up myself.
Yeah.
For the first time last week, and I was like, do I add this to the list of games that I'm going to stream, or is this a me game? And
might be a you game.
I might be leaning toward a you game, because I don't think streaming Destiny on Twitch probably isn't a good success recipe for a smaller streamer. So, but yeah, I might have to join you.
There you go.
Join you in some Destiny.
It does have crossplay now, so.
Ooh. And
I think that was part of it.
Pass.
I think it is on Game Pass. Yep.
But apparently, like the newest expansion will not be. Is that? Did
We
I
don't know
read
yet.
something about that? Okay, they haven't announced.
They haven't announced it, but every current expansion is part of Game Pass right now.
Okay, yeah.
So
Interesting.
yeah.
Well, nice.
And that's really about it, I think. I don't know. This week's been kind of busy for like writing and secret stuff that I can't talk about yet. So get used to that, listeners.
Yep. Once a week, he'll be like, "I'm working on stuff that you guys
it's
can't
like
know about."
I can't talk about that.
We'll start losing patrons because of it. It'll be
you'll
real
find out
divisive.
about it in a month or so.
There you go. All right. You have any other updates, John? Or should we jump right into this?
Not really. We can start doing this thing.
Let's
after
do
a
it.
Week.
Well, before we do it, listen, just bear with us, all right? We're going to bumble and stumble through some of the order of how we do this. So I want to ask you guys, if you enjoy the show, please head on over to wherever you're listening to this and leave a positive review, whether it's a 5-star review on iTunes or I don't know if thumbs up exists or just something. It very much helps us. We definitely appreciate that. So that would be awesome. And then also, if you could, or if you're interested in reaching out to us, supporting the channel, or supporting the channel. Sorry, my Twitch lingo's coming in. Supporting the podcast. Head on over to Patreon. Channel. Like I said, we've got some updates and some changes happening there. We'll have a link posted down below. Follow us on Twitter, PG_show. You shoot us an email at pgshowinbox@gmail.com. And please join the Discord. Also linked down below. It is turning into a very fun place to hang out. A lot of people from all walks of life popping in there.
It's a lot more lively than it was a week ago.
Yeah, even a week
5
ago.
months ago.
However you want
to measure that.
Yeah. So yes, if you guys are wanting to get engaged and be kind of on the front edge of everything, by all means, pop in there. So
cool.
All right, now we'll list off the games. Do you remember? Did we take a break after the first game? We did that, right? Okay, yes. That's what I thought. All right, I don't remember the cadence of anything.
Yeah, because it was long intro, game, and then break, and then 2 games, and then we're done.
Yep, you guys experiencing it live inside baseball.
Yes.
All right. Tell you what, John, I'll take the first game. You can introduce the second one because I really want to introduce the third one.
Sure.
All right. So our first game.
Good luck with the name on this one. By the way.
It's gonna. Part of me was like, wait, do I really need to introduce the third game?
Should John do this?
All right. We got a game. Let's see. It's developed by Nippon Ichi software, published by Nippon Ichi.
I'm in.
We've got a turn-based RPG released in 1999 for the PlayStation, but has since made its way to PSP, PS Vita, and PlayStation 3 as a PlayStation Network classic. I had never heard of this game prior to researching it. I'd heard of the game, the prequel, the original, but I'd not heard of this one. This is Little Princess. Here we go. Marl Ōkoku no Ningyō Hime 2.
Man, all that anime training's really
I feel like I nailed
paying
it.
Off for you.
Also known as Little Princess, the Puppet Princess of Marl Kingdom 2. Now, I look at a name like that and I automatically think, probably not a C-dub game. However, this game was not released in the US.
No.
This is a Japanese-only release. Even after it came to PlayStation Network for PlayStation 3, it was not released in the US. And after watching some gameplay and things like that, this is absolutely... This is PlayStation 1 era is probably my favorite era in terms of RPGs, right?
It's so good.
This one would have nestled right in there and been one that I would have probably enjoyed a lot. It is it's got kind of an isometric camera looking down on the world, similar to a Super Mario RPG or like a Xenogears. I don't know if you could rotate the camera or not in this one, but that's kind of the aesthetic. But it's big, chunky pixels, bright, colorful aesthetic. Again, the downside is that everything's in Japanese, so I don't actually know what's going on. But when I would
Uh-huh.
watch the battle sequences and stuff, it was characters line up on the right, enemies line up on the left, cast some spells, do some regular attacks. Very Final Fantasy esque, which is a bit of a departure from actually the original game, which was more of a strategy RPG.
Hmm.
Which you don't typically see such a departure.
No, you
In
usually double down on those mechanics and
Yeah,
do the strategy thing again.
yeah. So the original game that came out. This is a sequel to a game called Rhapsody, a musical adventure. Which
Hmm.
I that name sounds so familiar. I feel like I had to have played it, but I cannot remember.
Yeah, I think I've seen it on PlayStation and it later released on DS.
Okay,
Um, so I think most recently I had seen it on DS, but I've never played it.
okay.
Um,
So the setting for this game is that it takes place years after the events of Rhapsody, where the protagonists of the previous game settle down as the rulers of Marl Kingdom and now have a daughter, Kururu. Kururu gets entangled in a dispute between two families of witches and must track down the pieces of a shattered gem. So it's got a very I don't know, that description. It reminds me of a very anime story.
yes.
Um, so again, even reading the description, I probably would have been like, I don't know. I'm thinking back to 13-year-old me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have. I don't know if I would have dug the description, but
I feel like I appreciate it more now than I would have when I was younger.
yeah,
Especially like one of the big gimmicks for this game is that it has musical numbers, and 9 of the songs in the game are like they play out like a musical sequence in a movie or a play. So characters are like dancing and singing, and like they have their own like themes, and they uh, like these musical sequences are like unlike anything else in the game. Like they're not part of battles, they're just storytelling sequences, but um it's just a cool little thing that makes this game stand apart from other JRPGs.
yeah. This was kind of this would have been, I guess, near the front of that. Well, I guess Rhapsody existed as well, but there was a
Yeah.
weird period of time where uh, musical themes in games became like super prevalent. We have these two games, Tales of Symphonia, one of the Tales games, is one that comes to mind. Um, Eternal Sonata, which I think was a
Yeah.
couple years after. I think those were PS2 games. Um,
Eternal
really,
Sonata was actually 360.
was it
It
that late?
was, yeah, it was
Okay,
it's one of those first games that there's actually a JRPG on an Xbox console, which
oh, that's
wasn't
right.
really much of a thing throughout that console's lifespan. So
What was it? That
besides like Blue
Lost
Dragon,
Odyssey and Blue Dragon.
yeah, yeah, pretty much.
So, I guess okay. I guess I thought that those were closer together, but I guess they're pretty well separated. But
I mean, if you think about it, they were probably a few years apart,
yeah,
like between 2003, 2006, somewhere in there.
yeah. But yeah, aesthetically, this game lines up with exactly what I would have been looking for. I would have blown right past if it was available in the US. I would have blown right past whatever the description was and been like, yes, this is eye candy for me.
Yeah.
So, um, the one thing going through some of the specifics of the game too. One other change that I thought was interesting that I don't think I've ever seen before. Um, each character uses a puppet to cast magic,
Hmm.
and the magic doesn't cost like magic points as we know them. It doesn't cost
Right.
mana. It costs money,
Yeah.
actual
Which
money.
which is an interesting system there. That kind of reminds me of was it the first Metro game where like your bullets are your currency?
Oh yeah,
So like
yeah.
you have
I
different
guess
kinds
that's
of
a connection.
bullets, and they represent different amounts of currency. So if you're shooting people, you're really just shooting your money away.
Right. Yeah. I guess I didn't consider that, but that's
Hmm.
that's that's a yeah. Um, I don't know. Like again, it was hard to read the UI. Not really understand. So
Well,
I don't.
I
I don't know
mean,
how.
literally, because it's in a different
Yes,
language.
actually impossible. Um, If only it was written in HTML,
Huh.
I'd have had a fighting chance. Um, but it's yeah. So I don't know like what the cost was, but it was watching some of the spells and stuff. I thought the game is just really it's just really good looking.
It looks really nice. It has that Nippon Ichi style
Mhm.
of character art, which I've always been. Well, I've been a big fan of Nippon Ichi's stuff since Disgaea and Makai Kingdom and La Pucelle, like all of those PS2 strategy RPGs.
Okay.
So a lot of this is really doing it for me visually.
Yeah. Well, and that's the Disguise series. I guess we could probably transition. Do you have more about the game? We could transition over to
Not
Nippon
not
Ichi.
really. I mean, otherwise it's a turn-based RPG. I think the most interesting thing from the combat was what you're saying about the puppets and needing to spend money to cast spells. But
Yeah. And
and then the other thing would be the musical numbers, which is the other standout point. But everything else is I think pretty by the books.
yeah, pretty. It maintains kind of a pretty traditional JRPG approach.
Yep.
Um, but as far as it relates to Nippon Ichi, they were founded in 1993 as Prism Kikaku, and they were founded by former developers from the company Sunsoft. You mentioned some of the games that they initially released, La Pucelle and Disgaea. Disgaea is still going strong to this day. What are they up to, like Disgaea
Sure is
7?
six.
Is it 6?
Six just came out in
Okay.
July.
Disgaea is one of those series that I've always been jealous that I haven't been able to get into because I think it's really visually pleasing. But
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason, I had a very short love affair with strategy RPGs, basically Final Fantasy Tactics. I think I played an ogre battle at some points, but then for whatever reason, I couldn't play those games anymore. I just didn't have the interest anymore. But
Sure.
this guy is like one of those games where it's like I wish I still had that. Like they look like such bright, colorful, fun games.
Yeah, they
Um,
are. And they go pretty crazy though. Like you can level up your characters to like thousands of levels.
yeah,
And I feel like that's something that I always get stuck on is like trying to find like new character classes, trying to level up those characters instead of just like mainlining the game and
right.
like doing the critical path. I always get stuck pretty early on and never finish those games. Not because of my normal like play something for a little bit and then put it down. It's just I get caught up like just trying to get the most powerful things I can get and then just not moving forward at
Well,
all.
and like that's one thing that people always explain to me about this guy, and I always thought like the biggest hurdle for me in that instance would be the lack of significance eventually. Like if you can do that kind of stuff, what does it matter at one point? Like
But
it just
then your enemies are also like that. Like there's a point where you need to start diving into the crazier leveling portions of it to move forward.
okay.
Or to
No.
do side stuff to get more powerful weapons and items and or different characters or different classes. Uh, yeah, I mean, we probably shouldn't get into it here,
Yeah,
but
no.
there's a rabbit hole that you can go down with any of those strategy games from Nippon Ichi.
Yeah. And then that Disgaea follows more of the combat setup that the original Rhapsody had,
Mm-hmm.
the initial game in this series. So it's not like they completely switched gears to making more turn-based RPGs or anything like that. For whatever reason, they just decided that this franchise specifically needed to go heads up turn-based as opposed to strategy perspective. Because
Mm-hmm.
um, if you've heard of NIS America, that was actually founded by Nippon Ichi
Yes.
in December of 2003. So if you see that on anything around these parts, around the US, this is they're one and the same essentially. We mentioned Disgaea, we mentioned Lapcell. Another game that they're known for is Grim Grimoire,
Yeah.
which I know
Oh,
is another popular
punch
game
the
that
microphone.
another popular game that I don't actually know that much about, but another entry in there of I mean
Yeah.
they've done
I
tons of
mean,
stuff.
it's been going for forever.
Yeah.
I mean, now they're at least NIS America is publishing like East and
Yeah.
Trails of Cold Steel, like all of the Trails game, or I guess Trails games. All of the Falcom stuff, I think, is now underneath their publishing arm here.
Okay. And that's, I mean, I don't have too much else in terms of the developer. Anything else specific that you'd like to?
The only thing was the music in the game was done by Tenpei Sato, who did the music for pretty much all the Nippon Ichi Tactics games. So if you like the music in, say, Disgaea or La Pucelle, Phantom Brave, any of those games, you're gonna have some good music in this game as well.
Nice.
Especially with a game that's centered around music with its musical numbers. So,
yeah, I suppose it carries a little more significance when that's
it kind of
the
does.
main theme.
It kind of does.
And then the only last note that I have is in terms of critical reception, the only score I could really find for this game was from Famitsu, which makes sense because it was only released in Japan. Yep. They gave it a 30 out of a 40, which that's a perfectly passable score.
Yeah.
So
there were more games in the series. There was Tenshi no Present, Marl Ōkoku, Monogatari for PlayStation 2. And I feel like there was another one in there, but I do not have it in my notes currently. So if there are other, if there are any other connections to other Nippon Ichi games within the Rhapsody universe, the Marl Kingdom verse, let us know. Let us know if there's anything that we missed with it.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you know if any of those games that you just listed, are they any of them released in the US? Because I do have an interest now, like finding out more about.
No, I think it was just Rhapsody. There might be like fan translations.
We blew it, America. We blew it.
We could have had a musical RPG.
Oh man, that didn't follow around Chopin.
While he's dying.
That was a weird
he's
game.
Dreaming about a JRPG.
That's Eternal Sonata, everybody. All right. Well, that's a pretty good look at Little Princess Marl Ōkoku no Ningyō Hime 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I don't know why I made myself say that again, but
just to test yourself.
Right. What say we take a little breaky break?
Sure. Sounds good.
All right.
See you in a bit.
See you guys in just a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody. John, how was your break?
It's good.
It's weird having
coffee,
like a mid Sunday break. We've never had a mid Sunday break.
Yeah.
It's usually a Wednesday evening.
I'm still at like the mercy of whatever I'm tired about. whether it's like late on a Tuesday and I'm like, I worked all day and now I need to like get ready for the show. And now it's like, well, I woke up at like 10 today, but I was out with friends last night, so I'm a little bit sluggish today. It's just always one thing that's holding me back. So, Chris, we have 2 more games to talk about.
So I've heard.
This next one, man, it's from my favorite series ever. This is a new entry in the Mother series.
I was like, what are you talking about? Okay, go ahead.
It's a little bit different from the other ones, though. This is developed by Le Cartel Studio and published by Devolver Digital. This is Mother Russia Bleeds.
You got me good.
Which is available on, I think, just about every platform. I only have the Switch here. You might be able to
I've got it
enlighten me. I know PC, I'm sure Xbox, PlayStation.
I didn't see an Xbox release.
No, huh?
I have Linux, Mac, Switch, PlayStation 4, and Windows.
Yeah, okay.
But this research was done 5 months ago, so we could very well
I am looking at a webpage that has those same exact
And no Xbox.
releases.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess no Xbox.
There you go.
Mother Russia is not bleeding on Team Green.
Oh.
So this is a side-scrolling beat 'em up in the style of like a Streets of Rage or a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game, but way grittier and way more violent than any of those things.
Yes.
Uh,
Super duper ultra violent is what I like to call it.
It really is. You're dealing with your characters are there's 4 of them. And I believe they all are pretty similar in play styles. I think there are some differences in like speed and power. But the characters' names are Ivan, Natasha, Sergey, and Boris, which are very, very Russian names.
Oh yeah.
I like them all. But you are those characters are like captured and put into this prison, and they are put on this drug called Necro, that allows them to heal and power up. So as you're fighting through hordes and hordes of enemies who are also just addicts for this drug, you are pulling Necro from their bodies through a syringe and injecting it in yourself to heal or to give yourself boosts. It's real messed up stuff.
Oh yeah.
This game does not hold back.
Don't share needles, kids.
No, it's not safe. It's very not safe. Let's see here, Chris. Is there anything that you have for the game itself?
Yeah,
I have a few other things, but I just want to see if you want to.
I mean, it
jump
is
in here.
Over the top,
Yes.
violent.
It's like gross. It's cool looking, but it's all pixely. But just like a very, I guess gritty is the only thing I can think of as a descriptor.
Yeah, it's
grody.
I mean, the pixel art is very well done. But yeah, it is. There are some. It is. Don't play this with kids around.
No.
But yeah, you'd mentioned like the fighting styles. I looked at the fighter. I actually played this. I remember playing it back when we were doing the research. The fighting style seems similar to like a. Oh my gosh! Think of it. Oh my gosh! Think of it. What's the Sega game?
Streets of Rage.
Streets of Rage. Yeah.
Yes.
I've had Blades of Steel in my head. I'm like, that's
a hockey game. Although pretty violent,
right?
For an NES game.
But much like how those characters had their, different traits, faster and stronger than others, and even Final Fight had two main characters in that first game that played very differently. But it's it's more of that. The biggest difference between this one being a pretty standard beat 'em up is the Necro, like you mentioned, adds some different gameplay elements.
And looking at my notes, I did have in here that they do have different stats between the characters. So it's broken down between force, which I'm guessing is just your regular power, speed, which will just be your movement, reach, how far they can attack, and then their jump.
Okay.
So each character does have their own characteristics and stats with those specific categories.
Yeah, and I've in the Discord I added a really nice pixel sprite of every one of the characters, and every time I look at Boris, I'm just like, that dude he's like the last anything I'd want to see in like an alleyway.
Oh yeah, no, he looks insane.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to mess with any of these people.
No,
because they will mess you up.
I mean, Natasha has mismatched shoelaces. That's she
awesome.
ain't right. She ain't right.
Everyone has like these white eyes.
Just
I wonder if that's from the Necro.
Except Ivan, who apparently has had one of his eyeballs plucked out.
Hey, it happens.
Yeah, it's but it's aesthetically it's such a cool game. And now this is we'll get into this, but if you need anything else to help you understand what the aesthetics of this game might be like and how far it might go, it is published by Devolver.
That's an indication.
Yeah. And I feel like maybe this this game specifically was a motivation for some of their E3 stuff. But it's a cool game. I'm not a big beat 'em up fan myself, but just the
Yeah,
aesthetics and things like that, it made it worth. I made it a couple
I
levels
used to
in.
get down with beat 'em ups more, but I think I liked them more when they were actually like arcade games and your quarters mattered instead
Ah,
of just hitting continue every time you die and like starting right where you were and like blasting through it. I don't think that's exactly how this game works, but um, that's just more to say that I've fallen off the beat 'em up genre
mhm.
in the years that have passed. So
Yeah. The only thing I have is just specific to the necro. The necro, you kind of choose what kind of necro you start out with, and you can unlock this stuff. So you get like,
okay,
I think like the one you start with is just Kremlin Kernel. It's just like a steady and balanced perk or whatever.
yep,
I don't know what all of them do because their descriptors are not actually super helpful. Like White Russian directly affects the muscles. Greyhound is the only one that's kind of specific. It says in berserk mode, hitting something will freshen you up. I guess it's
okay.
not actually all that
Does that
specific.
heal you?
I don't know. Moscow Mule fatalities will make berserk mode last longer. So
Okay,
there's different ways to tailor the kind of
that's neat.
power ups that you can play with as well.
Yeah,
So kind of an
I really
interesting
should have
twist.
taken time in the last week to play this a bit. I do have it. I just haven't booted it up. Um, yeah, you can play this single player. There is local multiplayer for up to 4 players, which is
Mhm.
awesome. And then there's a survival mode. There's boss rushes. So it sounds like there's plenty of content for whatever you want to get out of Mother Russia Bleeds.
Yeah, I don't have too much more about the game other than that. It is gritty, bloody, beautiful pixel art.
Yep,
If you're into the beat 'em ups and you have not tried uh, Mother Russia Bleeds, I think it's worth playing just for some of the aesthetics.
absolutely.
If you're into that kind of over the top gore.
Hmm. As for
Um,
the studio,
yes.
the studio that made this, La Cartel Studio, was formed in August 2013 by Frederick Koisbo. I am completely butchering that name.
I would have done
Uh,
about the same.
Quaspo,
Crispa,
Crossbow,
Kispo.
uh,
Now it's offensive.
and between Frederick and a web designer named Alexandra Mutoni, who got together and started the studio. Uh, Frederick used to work for Ubisoft Paris
Mhm.
as a game designer, and I guess this specific game actually started development 5 years before its release. So it took a bit to actually come out. Wait, hold on. Let me see if I'm getting this timeline right.
They were established in 2013. I have it down as they released this game in 2016.
Okay, so 3 years.
But
3 year
I don't
dev
know. Ubisoft also has a history of developers working on side projects.
time.
So I don't know. It could be just as well. But
Yep.
um, did you notice the only other game that Le Cartel has had developed?
No.
Heave Ho.
Oh, that's right. Very
Yeah,
different game.
very
Very
different.
different.
Like I would show Heave Ho. I would have my 3-year-old play Heave Ho. Um, I don't my 3-year-old could be a 25-year-old, and I still don't think I want him to play Mother Russia Bleeds.
It's pretty brutal.
So, but yeah, those are the two games that are credited to them as of right now. Do you want to talk a little bit about Devolver?
I don't really have. I didn't have anything in my notes about Devolver themselves.
Okay, I got some stuff ready.
All
I
right.
mean, Devolver has become
We are
over.
super prepared this week, as you can
Yes,
tell.
Devolver has become one of my favorite publishers
Yeah.
over the last couple of years because of the quality of games that they publish and the wide range of games that they publish. And
Yep.
some of these games they seem to push out games that need to be. I don't know. I feel like some of these games, I don't think they would have been given the same opportunity with other publishers, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It seems like they take a lot more risks. Some of the games that they've released over the last for however long, Loop Hero, a game that kind of took
Loop Hero's great.
took things over, a couple months ago.
Close to my game of the year.
Really?
Still, yeah. I love Loop Hero.
Fall Guys, that flash in the pan. Just kidding. It's still very popular. People like it. Carry On, Exit the Gungeon, Enter the Gungeon, obviously both of them. My Friend Pedro, Observation, The Messenger, Absolver, Hotline Miami, Broforce, and that was all done prior to the research. I took a quick look at what they've done since I did the research for this game. They've released Phantom Abyss, which is that really cool, like, dungeon race first person adventure thing.
Sure.
Death's Door, which is knocking on the door of my game of the year this year.
Yeah, very, very good.
And then a game we already talked about in the podcast earlier today, No More Heroes 3. So
yeah, they had some Devolver like shirts that you could put on Travis Touchdown in there, and I was curious what it was because I think Marvelous self-published on the Switch here, so I think Devolver helped out in different territories potentially.
Yeah.
Not 100% sure there, but yeah, they were definitely involved in some way.
But I have to think like Devolver from, and I guess I don't know how this works, if this is stated correctly or not, but in terms of indie games, they're as far as I'm concerned, they're a AAA publisher. Like they don't miss. Everything that they publish has got some redeemable quality to make it just.
I think they miss occasionally, but they take risks on things that might be off-putting to other publishers. So things like Mother Russia Bleeds, it's super violent. Things like Hotline Miami, also super violent. Things that might not be the most polished looking thing or the most modern looking experience. I think they bring in. They help out to make it a product that people are going to want to that people are going to want to play or try out, and then they find success that way. I mean, their first games when they were when they announced that they were going to start publishing games were the Serious Sam HD games.
Oh, I love those games so much.
So, like a series that's been around for a while and that people really like, but also might be off-putting to the broader audience. I think that's kind of their bread and butter. It's just those offbeat titles.
Yeah. They've positioned themselves and marketed themselves in a way too, where if it's published by Devolver, my interest level automatically goes up, which is great for the games that they publish because they're like, sweet. I don't have to know too much about the games to or the developers, which are typically smaller developers. First games or a relatively small catalog of games to choose from. So it's got to be great for those developers to fall back on Devolver, who has just done such an amazing job as far as I'm concerned the last several years. So
They
I did
have
have. I'm sorry,
a very diverse portfolio.
Oh, absolutely.
Like looking through it, like let's see here. I know you mentioned some already, but like Hatoful, Boyfriend, Ollie Ollie, Downwell, Broforce, Dropsy, which is that creepy clown game, Shadow Warrior, the Talos Principle. Like they have a bunch of like there's a ton of these games. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that was Devolver. The Messenger,
and some of these I had no idea.
The Swords of Ditto, yeah,
that was a cool game. That one doesn't get enough love. The last thing that I have for this game is actually just something specific to Frederick Coisbeau, which I don't know if I'm saying that right either now.
It's probably Frencher than we're making it sound.
Yeah. And I was going to like go over the top, but then I'm like, then I'm just crossing lines that we don't need to cross. We had mentioned that he's a former Ubisoft Paris game designer.
Yep.
He worked on Just Dance 4 and Just Dance 2014. Now,
very different.
you have. I think we've talked in the past about your affinity for Just Dance. You like the Just Dance series.
Yeah, right? I like it. I like it enough.
But so I'm not a fan myself, but Just Dance and then some other games that come to mind like Madden and things like that. I've always wondered for developers that year after year have to keep working on what is essentially the same content with upgrades here and there. You don't get to like branch out and work on other things. He was quoted, and I don't have the actual spot I don't remember where I got the quote from now because it was 5 months ago, but he talked about developers having to do the same games year after year. And his quote was, "Mother Russia bleeds is what happens when you don't want to make a dancing game ever again." And I was like, knowing the content of Mother Russia Bleeds, I was like, this was a man who needed to move on immediately. So I thought that was an awesome quote.
Just the sheer violence, the action of violence that Mother Russia Bleeds brings.
Exactly.
Wow.
I want to see what his next Just Dance contribution would have been. Very.
Oh no.
Very something. But no, it's if you guys are interested in beat 'em ups, that's Mother Russia Bleeds. A game that I would say just for aesthetics is worth checking out, especially if you're a fan of the genre. Mechanically, it felt good when I played it. It looked good. Kind of intrigued by what the next levels had to offer, because even the level design, yes, it's a big rectangle. That is how beat 'em ups work. You walk across a big rectangle, but like the end of the first level, you pop into like a prison shower, and it's like, oh boy,
oh no,
there's some stuff going on here.
Yeesh.
Yeah, so it goes places there. It's worth taking a look at, and I think these days, I think I got it for like $3. I think I got it on sale.
Yeah, I think I got it through like a humble bundle.
Yeah.
One thing that I forgot to mention, and I think forgot to put in my notes originally, was because it is a beat 'em up, like you're gonna have all kinds of weapons that you're dealing with, that you could pick up and use against enemies. And I looked up to see how many weapons there were. There's actually a ton. You're using things like barrels, drums, fire extinguishers, flash grenades, stools, syringes, stage lights, katanas, chainsaws, champagne bottles. Like there's a ton of unique different items that you can use. Taser, I don't know if I mentioned that. Walkie-talkie, I guess, is one of them as well. So there's a bunch of ways to brutalize your enemies in this, outside of your regular punches and kicks.
They didn't have a Switch score on Metacritic, but on PS4 it looks like it sits at a 73 critic score and a 6.3 user score. The PC version was sitting at a 70 and a 6.9 respectively.
Sure.
OpenCritic has it as a fair on its website with a top critic average of 69 and 38% of critics recommending. I was going to do it, but I didn't know we were going to.
Someone had to. Can't let that slide, Chris.
I know. So that is Mother Russia Bleeds.
Awesome.
Should we move on?
Yeah, Chris, that's up to you. Do you want to drive forward with this?
I see what you did there.
There's a game off in the horizon that we need to talk about.
Too easy. Our next game holds a very special place in my heart. Developed by Playground Games, published by Microsoft. We've got a racing game released in 2018, available on Windows, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series. I guess I don't know. It's the Xbox Series of consoles now. Whatever, however you want to
X and S.
things.
Yeah. At Game Informer, we just put X/S.
Interesting. That's the right approach. I should probably do that. What we have here is my favorite racing game of all time, and one of my favorite games of all time. So my favorite racing game, and very, very near and dear to me in terms of like favorite games of all time. We've got Forza Horizon 4, the game we teased 1 week ago today.
One week. It's only been a week. Chris, I'm sorry that we made you wait this entire
I
7
know,
days
I know. It's
to talk
I
about this game.
found myself thinking about it over the span of the last couple of months, being like, God, I
Yeah,
really want to just
same.
talk about
I'm
this
like, God, I
game.
just want to jump in. I every once in a while I'm like, oh yeah, we need to talk about this eventually. I should jump in and play it. Game's still really good.
Yeah, yeah, it
Even
really
like
is.
I have not gone in as deep as you have, obviously, but like I'll jump in and do a race or do an eliminator, and it's still very very fun.
It is. So for you guys that don't know, Forza Horizon, the Forza Horizon series is an open world racing series. It exists alongside the motorsport franchise, Forza Motorsport. But I would say Horizon has a much more arcadey
Yeah,
aspect to it. It's
it is
whereas
closer to like
Motorsport,
a Need for Speed or a Burnout. Um, Obviously without those same like crash physics and stuff,
yeah,
but it's not on the same level as like a Gran Turismo, like Forza Motorsport would be.
yeah,
That's more of a
yeah,
simulation. This is more action racing.
yeah, exactly. But what it does for me, what it does is it toes the line between simulation and arcadey in a way that I think is unmatched. It's not crazy over the top. I mean, it can be. You can launch your car the length of 2 football fields,
Sure can
land
be.
and drive away, right? Um, but at the same time, when you are in races, because it's open world, you can drive wherever you want on this island. Do whatever you want. I guess this one isn't an island. There's Fortune Island, which is a DLC for it, but you're not tied to anything. There's signs that you can find and run down. If you run them down, it discounts the cost of fast travel, or it gives you points toward your next level up, which gets you a wheel spin, which might get you a new car, or might get you a dumping cat. Um, there's so many things to do in these games. It is all racing and car related, so you got to have
Yeah.
some kind of interest there. You're not getting out of the car and walking around, but for me, I'm perfectly content with that. So it is set in a fictionalized UK setting in
Yeah,
Central
which
Street.
is very different from the previous iterations that were like Australia
Mhm.
or what, the middle of the rainforest.
They have they do a good job of really changing things up. I can't remember where Horizon and Horizon 2 were set, but I think Horizon 3 was in Australia.
Mhm.
This one is set in kind of a fictionalized UK. The next one
It
is
was
coming out in November.
Colorado, and then just gonna get some dead air here
That
while
one
I look
is
up.
Colorado. Is that the first one?
That was the first one,
First one?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I
So
don't know where
fictionalized
this
Colorado.
okay. So while John's looking up the second one, the
Yeah, yeah.
next one
Keep
coming out in
going. Sorry.
November is set in Mexico, which November cannot come soon enough for me. I am very excited about that.
It looks awesome.
Yeah,
That
it
game looks
is
great.
like photorealistic, awesome.
Yeah.
If you guys have probably seen trailers for it and all that stuff, but um, the
Oh, this is province like Liguria. It's France.
it's
France
in
is
France.
2. France is 2. Australia's 3. This is the UK. The nice thing about going to the UK is that it allowed them to play around with different weather
Yeah,
features, which is a huge part of this game. Um, Obviously, they probably could have with Colorado as well, but definitely not Australia. But this game features 4 different weather biomes
hmm
that encompass the entire map and change driving physics, what kind of weather you're gonna interact with, uh, which paths are even open,
yep,
including when it's winter. You have all the lakes that you could just drive on. So like everything kind of opens up. It's really crazy. They put a lot of work into this world
yeah,
four
yeah.
times over.
You're right, exactly. Like you're essentially building things that aren't there. You know, like you cannot if you drive in the lake, your car disappears and you
Yeah,
respawn back on land. Like, you know, in the winter, yeah, you can zoom across the lake. You know, the car handles differently. There's, you know, there's just so many different things that affect. It's also really fun because the way their post game stuff kind of lines up is you can do these Horizon events that every week the weather changes. So for a full week, it's spring. Next week
Yep.
it's summer. Next week it's fall. All the leaves are changing. Next week it's winter, and it alternates through that. And every time you've got different challenges that you can do to get unique cars. There's some amazing. There's like 750 cars in the game.
It's a ton of cars.
Is one of my favorite aspects of the game is collecting the cars. I have like 400 and something. I have a spreadsheet because of course I do.
Of course you do. That's a very Chris thing to have.
Yeah, that's right. So I have, I've been actually going through, and I've fallen off it now. I haven't played it much recently, but I got back into it really, really hard, and I'm trying to collect as many of the cars as I can. But they did something unique, which I hope they continue to do. I wonder how they're going to iterate it on the next release. But those 1 week Horizon events, those are how they introduced seasons to the game, like actual seasonal content. Same thing you would see in other
live service games.
Exactly. Yeah, they're a little shorter than most other ones, but it just kind of keeps things fresh on a pretty regular basis. But in terms of like the actual racing and whatnot, you've got road racing, you've got dirt racing, cross country, street racing, which would be secure, like more in like the city areas. You've got straight up drag racing, and you've got drifting. There's an incredible Forza culture on Twitch, people that only drift, and have hundreds of people going into the chat and talking about how to set up their cars and stuff like that, and how do we get the best drift car? How do we get the best drag racing car?
Yeah, well, while we mentioned earlier that like Forza Motorsport is more of the simulation aspect, like there's a lot of stuff that gets carried over to the Horizon series.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they still carry over the Forza name. It is semi-realistic, and there's a lot of tweaking and tuning that you could do to your cars.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is neat.
To go beyond the racing, there's also Horizon stories that you can complete, and they've actually added some since the game released. But you get stories called the Stunt Driver, where you are set up with certain amount of time or certain parameters of like jumping your car X number of feet or whatever, where these stunt tracks are set up for you. World's Fastest Rentals, where you can get some of the fastest supercars in the game. There's this really cool one called La Racer at Horizon, and she is she's supposed to be an influencer, but her challenges revolve around famous video game cars. So you'll have to do you'll use like the I think it's maybe a Porsche from Outrun. You'll use the Ferrari from Project Gotham Racing.
Oh wow!
And yeah, it's just
That's
kind of
awesome.
It's just kind of cool how it's all tied back to like old video games and stuff. There's even a Top Gear tie-in. What's his face? The helmeted guy from Top Gear. He makes
the Stig.
Appearance. The Stig.
Yeah.
Yep, the Stig is in there, and the main guy in Top Gear does the voiceover stuff.
Cool.
So a lot of interesting tie-ins. Obviously, there's a Lego tie-in. There's an entire DLC tied to Lego.
It puts like Lego models and stuff all over the map.
Yep.
You get to
cars are made of
ride
Lego.
in Lego, a Lego car.
Yeah.
They did something similar with Hot Wheels in 3.
Yeah, they did. Where like the
Hot
Wheels tracks would like exist up in the. Oh, it was so cool.
Yeah.
One thing they added post content or post release was the Eliminator, which you had mentioned briefly. But the Eliminator is a racing battle royale, which has no right being as fun as it is.
I was surprised how they implemented it, because I was curious going in whether it was going to be like damaging other people's cars or how you're actually eliminating people.
Yep.
If you want to go into how the Eliminator works.
Yeah, you basically the entire map is open at first. You choose where you want to spawn in, and you spawn in at your level 1 car, which I think is still and always has been Mini Cooper. So you start with that, and then right off the get-go, there's a circle that forms. You have to get to the circle. You have to stay inside the circle, just like any other battle royale. Along the way, if you see another driver, you challenge them by honking at them, and they have to accept. They can't turn it down. So as soon as you do that, challenge is accepted. It sets any random point on the map, and you drive there as fast as you can. You go on roads, you can go through the woods, do whatever you need to do. You just need to be there first. If you get there first, you get to take either their car, which may be better than yours, maybe a lot better than yours, or you get to go to the next level car. So they'll randomly generate a level 2 car for you to use. You keep doing that until you get to, I don't know how they decide. I don't know if it's X number of times that the circle shrinks,
Mhm.
or if it's time or a number of competitors or what. But your goal is to get as high level car as you can by the final circle, because at the final circle they set a point anywhere on the map, and then it's a dead sprint. Everybody leaves from wherever they're at. First person there wins the eliminator. It is so much fun. I have had like
That's great.
miraculous comebacks, and I've had just some of the worst luck ever. Like it's, but it's a really interesting implementation
Yeah.
of battle royale into a racing game.
They also add little things like there are drops on the map that can upgrade your car.
Oh, I'm
Correct.
sorry. Yes, yeah. There's like purple
Um,
plumes of smoke where you can choose if it's better
Yeah,
than
because
what you
like
have or not.
one of the few times that I played the Eliminator, I drove straight to one of those and like picked up like a tractor that was a couple levels above the initial car that you have. So I'm just driving around in like this giant this giant green tractor, just hauling ass across the countryside. And then I just got demolished by whoever I challenged. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's a very fun version of the battle royale series,
yeah.
and I think there's like 72 people that can join it. So it's like
It's yeah. There could
it's
be a lot of
huge.
people on the
Like
map.
you're dealing with way more people than you would in a racing game typically. It's as close to like a shooter battle royale as you can get, like player count wise.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's super impressive. Even for like a bandwagon jumping mode. Like everyone
Yeah,
has to
right.
have a BR in their games now. I think they did it super well, and
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing if or what the Eliminator looks like in 5 later this year.
I hope it comes along. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know how popular it was. I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah,
Near the last couple times I've played, I've tried to jump into Eliminator, and I've had a hard time getting into the games for it. So it could just
sure.
be that the game's also been out for a while, and
Yeah, this game's 3 years old at this point.
yeah.
So
So, but it's also, it's a fun sandboxy game that I gave Jack the controller this morning. Actually, I set him up on the map with a warthog from Halo, and
nice.
like just he was running over trees and having the time of his life. So it's a beautiful game to look at. It's fun to play for all ages. I mean, he's not out winning any races or anything, but um, yeah, I love this game so much.
Yeah,
So it does
it's
have
very
two
cool.
DLCs. I mentioned one, Lego Speed Champions. The other one is Fortune Island, which is it's got its own interesting little quirk. There's treasure chests around the map. You find them, you get a million credits. Um, I think that, and then there's like two bigger races and stuff. But you're always working toward goals. There's always every discipline in the game has a different level. Whether it's
Sure.
road racing, cross country, you do it, you get experience points. You every time you level up, you get another. Um, you get to spin the wheel again and potentially win a new car and all that good stuff. It's got a good hook to it.
Yeah.
So,
I one thing that we didn't really mention is all these Horizon games center around like the Horizon Festival.
oh
So it's
yeah,
like taking this big like uh kind of like Burning Man or uh Coachella like festival and like putting it into this wherever the environment is for that game. And so there's like just this big party atmosphere happening.
hmm
Has a cool celebration feel to it.
and along those lines too. One thing I did mention, which I have to, the music in these games.
Mhm.
Some of my favorite songs have come from the Forza Horizon series. The opening song to like when you're on like the home screen of this game is one that I play all the
Oh,
time. I
the
just
Daytona USA theme.
That's the one. Yeah,
That's
that's
the
the
one.
one. It's weird that they put that in there
Yeah,
like that,
it's
but
weird.
the music is just always top notch too. The licensed tracks that they get in. So
Yeah.
um, a lot of churches. I'm noticing
Oh, sure. Yeah,
churches come up
they
quite a
they
bit, but
are they're a popular band.
they sure are, especially
Uh,
in the video game world, huh?
yeah, yeah. Uh, so Playground Games has been around for about 11 years now. They are the primary developer for the Forza Horizon games. They kind of take the number 2 position to Turn 10. For like they Turn 10 takes care of Forza Motorsport.
Mhm.
Playground takes all the Horizon games. They're going to be doing the new Fable game as well.
Yeah.
Whenever that's set to actually premiere. But Playground Games was founded by Gavin Rayburn and Trevor Williams and Ralph Fulton back in 2009. And really, the projects they've been working on have just all been Forza Horizon games. Nothing too out of the ordinary there. Their lineage can be seen since the Xbox 360.
Yeah, I will say that their first work prior to releasing Forza, actually they did some uh, contributing work on DJ Hero 2.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, so that was more or less like maybe like a gap fill sort of a thing. We start a new studio, we have these abilities, let's get some sort of income rolling in, and then we'll start with what we want to do. So, but other than that, yeah, it's been Forza nonstop. They've done some support on Horizon. I'm sorry, on Motorsport 5 and 7.
Yep.
But for the most part, Forza has been their big focus. But they've expressed an interest in taking on something outside of Horizon. That's why they were tasked with doing Fable. And if they can build the world of Horizon is gorgeous. It's amazing. So I would love to see. I'm excited to see their take on an open world fantasy setting like Fable, which is about the most fantasy I think you can do. So
yeah,
that'll be fun.
One thing I didn't realize, I thought they were always part of Microsoft, but they were only acquired by Microsoft back in 2018.
Oh wow, I guess I didn't realize that either. They just had such a tight relationship with them, I guess. I just assumed.
Yeah, they were just synonymous with Forza Horizon. That they weren't part of the team until 3 years ago, until basically the release of this game, and when Microsoft was announcing all of those new acquisitions and like starting to get rolling with all of their now first party studios. So that's probably one of the reasons why they're entrusted with Fable now.
Yeah. So I've been gushing about this game, but just so you know, it sits at a 92 and an 88 on Metacritic for Xbox One and PC, respectively. I know, right? It has a mighty open critic rating with a 92 top critic average, and I'm going to find this guy. 98% of critics recommending. Who said no? This is haberdashery.
Somebody doesn't like Cars. Cars killed their parents.
Yeah, that's what it is.
The Batman for Cars.
But yes, 98% of critics recommending. So if you guys have not tried this, even if you're not a racing game fan, there's something to appreciate about the way this game is built, the way it runs. With the Series X version coming out, the just constant 60 FPS. Yeah. The buttery smooth. Oh my gosh, it was.
Having that higher resolution at 60 FPS is so good. And just having this on Game Pass, it's part of the $10 or $15 subscription that you pay Microsoft already.
Yeah,
and you can play it on PC, you can play it on Xbox, whichever Xbox that you have, whether it's One, X, S, whatever you have. Yeah, there's a ton of game here for $15.
Absolutely. They did recently announce that they're going to be stopping the seasons going forward to focus on development of Motorsport of Horizon 5. But that again, even without that content, there's tons of stuff to get through. So that is it. Those are our 3 games, John.
Yeah, hey, we're back.
We are. We did it. I almost let one swear slip, but I didn't. I saved it.
I almost did too.
Yeah. But good for us. Good for us. And good for you guys for bearing with us.
Thank you.
Letting us get our feet underneath us.
For staying here.
Yeah.
And coming back after our short hiatus of a week.
Right. Yes.
Just our typical.
We probably should stop calling it hiatus. It was only a week. Like, come on, you guys, calm down. I wanted to check something. Our last show was in April.
Yeah.
1 week ago. I wanted to take a look at this. I was going to do it before the show, but I didn't. So April 15th, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay, there it is.
And yeah,
So from April 14th, I guess I don't have numbers. We've had, I don't know, 30, we've almost doubled our listens by not having any episodes.
yeah. We've had some people jumping on and listening to our catalog, which is great.
Yes, and
Super
it made
good.
us all the more excited to get this new episode
Yep.
out.
Even in
Um,
like the last week, we've had like 20 listens or so,
yeah,
which is crazy.
yeah. So if you guys are jumping in, if this is like, let's say your first episode, I just want to let you guys know, um, the first handful of episodes, if you want to go back and listen to those, they're
Mhm.
long. They're beefy
They are.
boys. We had some different ideals when we started in terms of number of games we were going to cover and how we were going to structure the podcast. We've evolved it and things like that. It looks like when we're done here, we might have about an hour and a half long episode, maybe a little longer than that.
Yeah.
That's about 50% of what some of our first episodes were.
Yeah.
So we are again trying to enhance, trying to make the podcast more enjoyable for you guys.
And even this episode's going to be different from the typical ones, just because and we've been sitting on these notes for a while.
True.
I would say that I didn't do a lot of research in the last couple of days, so I was mostly refreshing myself.
That's what I did too. I just looked at my notes, and be
So,
like, "Yep, this all is coming back to me."
and with something like Forza that you know quite a bit,
Yeah.
that's a pretty easy one to take head on. But we will be coming fresh with another 3 games on our next episode that will be freshly researched.
True. But yes, just wanted to say thank you guys for continuing to support the
Yes.
show. We have been excited to come back, and we are glad to be back now. We look forward to continuing on this, or not. Yeah, continuing is the right word, because we definitely didn't take a 5-month break. This weekly release schedule. So
Yeah.
now the days that they release, that's still a little up in the air. We haven't recorded on a Sunday before, so that'll have to we'll be discussing kind of what that looks like.
Yeah,
And look for
that
some
could be
updates.
still releasing on Thursday for everyone and releasing earlier than it normally did for Patreon. We could move back to Tuesdays. It depends on work schedules
Yeah,
and what's going on, because my days are pretty variable for how late I'm working or how much I'm working, and with Chris's fluctuating job situation as well. Things are going to be up in the air, but we'll try to land our episodes on Thursdays for everybody. I think moving forward, we can
perfect.
still talk about that, but that's what I'm aiming for right now for production.
Yeah, and that
complications.
that works for me. So,
Cool.
But yes, wait, hold on. What are we doing? We haven't ranked our games. Oh
No,
my
we haven't.
god.
No, we haven't, but I think that was an important task.
I think it was too. Yes,
talk
give
about.
you guys a heads up on that kind of stuff. So,
Chris,
who
three
went
games.
who went first last week?
Someone's gonna have to remind us.
Yeah.
We'll say that you went first last week.
Okay, that's fair. Vaughn, what's your number 3?
Yeah, my number 3 this week is Forza. No,
it's a good way to end a podcast.
Yeah,
forever.
My number 3 is probably Mother Russia Bleeds. I think it's a really cool looking game, and I think it's a neat take on the brawler. But I've played so many brawlers in my life that I feel like I would get more out of the other 2 games than I would from this. We have a batch of 3 really awesome games this week, so it's very there's very minor things that are gonna determine my rankings, I think. But yeah, Mother Russia Bleeds is my number 3. Chris?
Yeah, I'm going to echo that sentiment. The only focus I had when we started researching this, and I remember this, was Forza. I was like, yes,
Yeah.
like I'm all in. And I had heard of Mother Russia Bleeds. I had never heard of Little Princess Marl Ōkoku no Ningyō Hime. But you're right. This was a shockingly strong week for games. That being said, my number 3 is also Mother Russia Bleeds.
Yes.
And I think the big reason, I'll go into it more for my second choice, but this is, to me, I got to play it. It's a known quantity. I understand what it is. I liked it. but the idea that it is a beat 'em up, the repetition of a beat 'em up typically doesn't carry me very far in these games.
Yeah.
If anything, the aesthetics and the gorgeous pixel art carried me further than it normally would have without those things. So that is why Mother Russia Bleeds is my number 3. John,
Yeah, I feel
give
like
me
we're
that
gonna
number
have
2.
the same list here. So
Feels if I would assume as well.
so number 2 for me is Little Princess Marl Ōkoku no Ningyō Hime 2. I think it's a cool, cute JRPG that I would have liked to play 15 years ago, 20 years ago. But we unfortunately missed out on. I really like Nippon Ichi games. I like their style. I like their humor. I like the crazy stuff that you get into. And these days, I like the gimmick of having like musical interludes within the game. I think that's just a neat thing to have. Have the little like Disney-ish fairy tale musical numbers. And it seems like the game would be pretty fun from what I've seen from gameplay. It makes me want to go back and play Rhapsody and see what that game's about, because there is similar DNA, even though that is a strategy RPG and this is turn-based. But it is making me quite interested in the series, and I want to see if we have Rhapsody in the vault once the new GI office is up and running. So yeah, Little Princess is my number 2 for this week. Chris?
And that is my number 2 as well.
Sure.
And much for like the same reason that Mother Russia Bleeds was my number 3. The opposite is true for this one. The fact that I don't know, this is not a known quantity to me. I didn't get a chance to jump into it, and because it's weird that not having a chance to play this game, it like intrigues me more and moves it up my list. It could be that I play this and be like, oh no, Mother Russia Bleeds is my number 2.
Yeah.
But from what I see, aesthetically, visually, it is exactly what I would have been looking for when I was 13-year-old C-Dub. And I the combat was on point with what I'd like. I'm bumming that this game was not released in the US 20 years ago. So it's my number 2 based solely on the want to play it, but it'll probably never happen.
Yeah.
So
unless Nippon Ichi starts, like they've been doing collections now. I think they're about to announce their second one for like classic games that they're bringing out on Switch.
Did they do the one that just last week? The
Phantom Brave.
Yeah.
Is that and something else. Yeah, that's them.
Okay.
So
maybe
I know they're announcing something in the coming week or so. So
okay.
I don't know if it's a Rhapsody thing or if it's Makai Kingdom. It seems like they're doing non-Disgaea games because those are going to sell on their own, and they already have remastered versions on the Switch.
Yeah.
So
all video game companies, versions. Please listen up. Do what they're doing and get your games out in front of people again.
Yep.
Please. This is so important for the industry. They're games that I might likely never play, but
but someone's going to.
Right. They're going to appeal to people that have been waiting forever to have a chance to play these games. We find it every week. Yeah. Well, we used to find it every week, and we will find it every week, where we really want to play some of these games and just don't have the ability to. So I love to see it. Good on you, Nippon Ichi.
And they're even translating now. They're localizing games that have been out for 15 years, and bringing them out in the US or North America and Europe. Like some of the Middle Trails games are finally coming stateside. So if those games have the chance, I know Trails is a completely different beast than the Marl Kingdom games are, but if Trails from Zero has a chance to be translated and brought over, I think there's a little glimmer of hope of something like the Marl Kingdom games.
Let's do this. Let's when we tweet out the show is live, we will tag Nippon Ichi or NIS America, whoever.
Yeah.
All of the listeners, we need you to go like that retweet. or like that, and then retweet it, and we're gonna get that trending. And now that we'll leave them with no
free
choice.
MVC2 situation. Like
exactly.
we're gonna make a remaster happen.
Oh man.
Uh,
John, what's your number one?
Yeah, my number one, with the, I almost said with a skid mark, which does not.
Yeah, we don't.
I was trying to think of like, it's not with a bullet because cars aren't that.
Unless it's like a cool James Bond car.
That's true. That's very true.
Which
or
actually,
Spy Hunter.
They did have James Bond cars in Horizon. There's an entire car.
Did they have guns?
Car pack. They did not have the guns,
Martins.
but it was like all the old Aston Martins, and it was specifically called like the James Bond car pack.
That's very cool. That's very cool. Yeah, number one this week is Forza Horizon 4. I really love the world in this game. I think the British countryside is a very cool area, and being able to experience that with 4 different seasons is awesome. A lot of it is like pretty typical racing fare, but you're getting like the depth of a Forza game in an arcade style racing game. And with 750 cars, you could probably find something that either you drive personally or something pretty close, all the way from just like basic cars to supercars. And adding things like the Eliminator really gave some extra life to this game for me. So
yeah,
Forza Horizon 4 is my number one, and I kind of want to play more before 5 comes out. I feel like it won't spoil my interest in 5 because of it's such a different setting.
Yeah.
Which is something I can't say for a lot of racing games, that the setting makes the game more than like the cars and the handling for me.
And I think it's obviously my number one as well. It's my favorite racing game of all time. It's top 10, probably my favorite video games of all time. So, that's one, you make a good point. They actually position these games to make you feel like the environments, the world that you're in is a character. And they do such a good job of it. There's landmarks that you can find, the one that comes to mind in the middle of the map on this giant hill is this huge windmill. And it's cool against the background, but if you drive up there, there's like an opening and a giant jump on the other side that like you can launch yourself forever. Like there's castles, you can buy houses. You can spend your money to buy houses, which get you different perks. I wish that they meant a little bit more in the game. I think it'd be fun to.
Yeah, they're more like fast travel points and stuff, right?
Yeah. So I wish there was more that you could do with that kind of stuff. But then when you look at the individual cars, there's hundreds of cars in there. Some of the cars are super weird and rare, like weird 3-wheeled cars that were actually real, but
not everything's gonna be viable, but it's fun to explore.
Yeah. It's such a great. I'm a big car fan. I don't know the first thing about cars. Like, don't ask me to fix your car. I will make it worse. But just it's a celebration of car culture. It's a celebration of it's the celebration of racing in video games. It's just the perfect racing package as far as I'm concerned. And like I said, I cannot wait until November when the 5th one comes out.
Yes.
What a show.
Yeah, that's it. We did it. We finally did
it. If you guys enjoyed that show, like I said earlier, please head on to whatever podcast listening app you are using and leave us a positive review. That would mean the world to us. Right now we have 14 5-star reviews. I did check it before we went live.
Oh, good. That's more than we used to have.
Yeah, that number's gone up. And one very, very kind comment as well. So that would be awesome if you guys could take the time to do that.
Rad.
Reach out to us in any way that works for you. We have an email, pgshowinbox@gmail.com. We have our PG Show Twitter handle, which is PG_show. Yep. Give us a follow there. We have the Discord. We're both in the Discord. I'm in the Discord a lot more often now than I ever was before. I keep an eye on it all the time. That's one thing that I can admittedly say I faltered at a little bit a while back. So it's something that I've really embraced and come to really love my time in that Discord. So, and if you'd like to support the show, we would love to have you. Head to the Patreon for as little as $3 a month, you can get early access to the show. And is it ad-free viewing at that tier?
I believe so. Yes. Yeah.
So-
Because the only ads are injected through Anchor.
You're right. So if you do that, that'll get you those benefits, and it goes a long way to helping us support the show. We have a lot of plans for the show. We've implemented some of them. Some of them we implemented without hitting goals because one of us was too excited to wait. That's me. We've got a lot of fun things happening. I hope that we'll continue to keep you guys around.
Yeah. Also, let us know what you might want us to like change, or
yes,
what you like, or like give us feedback.
Yes.
We'll take it respectfully, as long as you're giving it respectfully.
Mhm.
And yeah, we'd love to hear what you think about the show, what works, what doesn't, and what kind of stuff you might want to see for like Patreon goals.
Yeah, that would help us too, because we only have one perspective that we can look at this stuff from. So we definitely do our best with that, but we're open to suggestions. The other thing that I didn't mention in terms of getting a hold of us, if you guys are big on Twitch, you guys like to hang out on Twitch, we're both on there.
Yep.
I'm on there daily almost. I tend to take the weekends off from streaming, but you can find me at CW719, currently streaming at 9 a.m. to about 4:30 p.m. and then spending some time doing some background stuff after that. But and then you can find John at
you can find me at John Carson Games. That is my personal Twitch channel. We also have at the Game Informer Twitch channel. Every Thursday, our online editors do a stream. Whether I'm on that or not is pretty random. It depends on who's free at the time. But that is one of the times that you can find me on that channel. And I'm trying to get a longer form thing going for, I want to say, October on the Game Informer Twitch channel as well. So nice. watch for updates there and in our Discord.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't think I have anything else. John, do you have anything else?
No, that's all I have. I'd like to thank everyone for their patience while we figured stuff out over the last 5 months. And we hope that you'll stick with us on this adventure.
Absolutely.
As we continue towards our 1 year anniversary.
Ooh, oh my gosh.
We obviously don't have all 52 episodes for that, but I think somewhere in the 20s is good for now.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that is coming up soon. So
yeah.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you around this time next time.
See ya.
Bye.